All right, we are live with episode 11 of the Authentic You podcast, and I have my good personal friend, Lynsey, who is a real estate agent and covering Southern California.
Yeah.
Say the Southern California. Been a little bit since my last podcast. This is the first one right back into it. So if we're rusty, 100% my fault. But I'll get into maybe a little bit of the pause later and just talk through why there was a little bit of a pause in there. Maybe it has to do with a lot of just life experiences and all that good stuff. But today is about Lynsey and her business and what she's accomplishing. Very proud of you.
Thank you.
Very, very, very proud of you. Want to give everybody an opportunity, if they don't know who you are, to just kind of know who you are, where they can follow you, how they can contact you, if they're selling or buying, and, you know, kind of go through all that. So introduce yourself.
I'm Lynsey Calkins, and I do cover mostly Orange County, a little bit of LA, and all over Riverside currently. I'm about to go out to San Diego. It's just literally, it's like wherever the buyers want to buy, wherever my clients want to look. That's where we're shopping. If you want to know anything, or if you need to reach out to me, you can reach me at 949-979-4280. That's nice. Me directly.
Nice.
I know
Putting
that
it
number.
out onto the internet.
Yeah. So to call, text, literally like just reach out. I'm on Instagram. It's Lynsey Loves with 2 S's.
Perfect.
They can reach out to me.
Lynsey, I want to read to kick us off because I'm so proud of you. I actually want to read something that you posted on your Instagram that I thought was pretty inspiring, and greatly enough, you posted it yesterday. So you literally wrote this, and I think you were on your way to an actual posting or listing, I should say. So you wrote, 9 years ago today, I took a bus 2.5 hours both ways to my job in Laguna, seating guests at their 5-star beachfront tables. And today I'm driving to a house in Laguna that I get to help sell. Believe in yourself, do the work, enjoy the journey. Everybody starts somewhere.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel hearing that back? I mean, you wrote it. You wrote it, so you definitely felt it.
You know, like those types of things, like when I think of those types of things, it's like I had the window roll down, and the air, the way that it smelled outside is what reminded me of that. It reminded me of the weather maybe that day or something. And like when you're taking the bus and you're spending that much time like by yourself traveling, you notice other things, like your senses, like you notice smells and things like that. And it's really crazy, like how smells will trigger like your sensory memory. I think about stuff like that all the time. I think it's important to stay humble, and maybe 9 years is a long time. Like you should probably get your act together after 9 years. Like, that makes sense, but it feels like not that long ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 9 years ago, you're still in your mid-20s, you know? I mean, so I think it's actually a very humble thing, and I'm glad you write that. I love when people are not afraid to reflect like that and, you know, really think back on how they got to where they're at. Because the reality is most people have a goal and they know where they want to go, but nobody really knows the secret path to just getting there, right? Like it's kind of like, okay, maybe if I do this, then I'll get here. And then if I get there, I can get there. But like, you never really know until you get there. And honestly, sometimes, yeah, like hearing it, if you were to say it to yourself, like now traveling back in time, you're like, hey, listen, on this bus ride, 9 years from now, you're like, 9 fucking years. It's going to take me 9 years to get there. What are you talking about? Most people would be afraid of that. But I think, you know, I love looking back on 5 years, 10 years, because the reality is like when you do finally start to have enough time to look back, you're like, fuck, that's really not that long. So it's like, okay, well, if I accomplished and I'm here and I got here in 9 years, like, well, once that momentum is building, like where could you be 5 years from now? Where could you be 10 years from now? Like, fuck. And then at that point you're still, you know, maybe in your late 30s, maybe in your early 40s. Like that's not that, I mean, from the average lifespan, that's really not that long.
No, not at all. And it's cool you bring up time, because at the time I was just getting started. Like I had hit reset and I was just getting started. And one of the reasons I did that was because partied a lot. 20s, teenage years to 20s, I had not a care in the world. I lived my best life. I don't have any regrets about that time, but it was actually like one day I woke up and I was like, man, like I'm 26. If I start everything over right now, or if I just take a different path and try something new, like where could I be in 3 years? Like, could I have a degree in 3 years? Like, I started thinking, like, do I want kids? Like, I'm going to have to start, like, figuring it out, like, at this point. And so that's really the switch that went off. It was like, all right, so I'm going to start over. Like, I literally have nothing. So, like, let's go. Let's get started.
You know, but the best part about having nothing is starting over. It's all upside.
Yep.
It's all upside. I actually kind of posted about that this morning. So I'm reading this book called Atomic Habits. And
I love that book. Yep.
I've heard of it for years, and everyone's always like live and die by it. But I've always been very good with my habits in general, and like I'm very meticulous at like what I do and like having a routine. Like I call it routine more than habits. So I'm very meticulous, like I'm very set on what I do, but I'm doing 75 hard right now with my girlfriend Maria and then my friend Fa. And my friend Fa was like, dude, he stumbled upon the book. He's like, you've got to read this book. He's like, I'm telling you. I was like, okay, calm down, buddy. Yeah. But then sure enough, I was like, okay, it's time for an extra book. Let me pick it up. And I got like, I don't know, 5 pages in. I was like, oh no, I'm hooked. And then 25 pages in, and then all of a sudden all these things started clicking to my mind. Yeah. And this morning, so the last couple of days, I've been kind of taking quotes from the book and like I'm posting and talking about it. And today was about that. Exactly what you just said is legitimately you can wake up one day and take a look and just go, where am I headed right now? And now what I was talking about, it was the habits. Where am I headed right now? Do I like the destination I'm headed? If the answer is yes, cool. Stay the course. All the habits and all the routines and all the things that you're doing are fine. If the answer is no, and you can't lie to yourself. Like that's the one secret about life, that like if you haven't figured this out, you can't lie to yourself. So you know if you're doing good or bad. You know, like you can try to justify actions and make them good, but the reality is in your heart, you know. Yeah. So I was just like, based on your habits, if you like the destination you're headed to, then cool, stick to those habits. Yeah. If you don't like where your destination is, maybe change 1 to 2 habits and see if in a little while after that you like that new destination better. Right. And if not, again, restart, reset. So it's good that you bring that up. Like I think, you know, people should consider restarting at any point in time. You could be 50, you can restart. I know plenty of people. I literally have talked to people on this podcast that are like, I'm 40 and I'm pushing reset. Like, okay, cool.
For sure. So how I got into real estate is actually I hit reset. I met one of my best friends in a program, and I was like working this customer service job, like one of my first jobs, whatever. And I was like miserable. I was talking to like engineers every day, and this is stupid. Like aerospace is not for me. Like I'm bored.
Aerospace like, sounds so exciting. Right
I love everybody that's in aerospace. My mom is in aerospace. My mom and my sister. But it just like for me, it's just not my jam. But you know, you have to go to work. You have to be in the routine. You have to, stay busy. And so we were talking and she was like, why don't you come apply to this company where I work? She's like, we're a coaching company. Okay. I'm just like, okay, like, cool. She's like, we coach real estate agents. And I was like, all right, like, I do want to buy a house. That is something I want to do. I don't know how long it's going to take because I'm going to have to do it by myself. Like everything I plan to do it by myself. Yeah. I know, Mel Robbins, no one's coming to save you. Yep. I know this. I like feel this deep in my core. Like no one is coming to save me. There's no rescue. There's no
lifeline coming.
Yeah. So I applied. I got the job and literally like changed my life immediately. Ended up working for the best real estate coach that there is for 6 years. And during that time, I got close and I got actually, you are the sum of all the people you surround yourself with. Yeah. And so consistently having conversations with just high level, top producing team leaders, broker owners, the coaches that coach them every single day for 6 years, like building a new little section of this whole like big vision that the CEO had, like being a part of that was so big for me. It was like my entire, like who I was, like working so hard for these people, being everything that they needed me to be, and just a tiny bit more, like, you know, because I work harder than everyone else. Like I'm going to work the hardest. So when that journey ended, it was kind of like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like I am going to have to get a job. Like I have a mortgage and I need to get a job. Like doesn't matter what it is. And so immediately, like I started looking for a job, applying at jobs. But when that journey ended, I had like an overwhelming outreach. Coaches, clients, like the clients of the coaching company, like people who are now my friends. I'm not going to say they're like they're like my friends. They've been my friends for years, but now it feels different because I'm not part of that coaching company anymore. But that separation from the company was so hard on me because it was like who I was, like inside, and I was so sad. And like multiple coaches and one very special person that I met in that company was like, okay, so like real estate, like, are you ready?
Yeah.
And
one door closes,
I had my
opens.
license already. Like I got my license because I thought like, you know, I just wanted to prove to myself that I could achieve something. And getting your license in California, it's not hard. I got it really first try, you know, nice. Whatever. And it's, you don't do anything with the stuff you learn. It's just memorizing stuff. It doesn't apply to actually doing the business at all.
Fuck, that's funny. We got to come back to that.
Yeah, no, like there's nothing like, they want you to like, you're supposed to know like how many square feet or in an acre. Like nobody cares about that. Like you could Google that, ChatGPT it, like nobody cares. Anyway, so the conversations that I was having from these people who were reaching out for me, like contacts from this company were, even the CEO, like, I'm not worried about you. Like, it's time.
Yeah.
Like you were never going to leave. Yeah. Like, I was laid off. I don't think I even have told anybody that, like anybody that doesn't know, you know, cause like my feelings were hurt, you know? But the conversation was like, maybe this is the universe telling you that it's time.
For sure it was.
And for me, I was like, I can't do that. Like, I need an income. I cannot not make money. Like in real estate, like I wake up every single day without a job, period.
Yeah.
Like if I don't have something in my pipeline, that's like, if I'm not working with a client who is actively in the under contract to purchase a home, like I don't know that I'm going to have an income.
Yeah.
So those are the things that people hire coaches for, you know, to get into the habits and make sure you're held accountable. That company's mission statement is holding professionals accountable to fulfill their greatness. So it's like accountability, like just give me the directions and I will follow them. That was what I was looking for. And just a couple conversations that I had were like, you can do this. And I was applying for jobs and like reading the job descriptions and like miserable, like start like bawling, crying, like, I don't want to do that. That sounds terrible. Like, and like my logic told me like, you're going to have to learn how to do something new no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, period. So
that's a good way to look at it.
Like you are starting over. Like you have Christmas basically to figure it out. So like, let's get talking to some local teams and figure it out. So I did that. So, yeah.
And so, okay. So there's a lot to like kind of unpack in that because obviously that was like a huge transformational period of time, right? So you basically made the decision you wanted to, you got kind of pushed into an industry, which you ended up falling deeply in love with.
Oh yeah. I didn't even talk about that.
And then, yeah, I mean, so now you're in love with this industry. Oh, yeah. You're being trained by the best people possible and you're being compensated to do it. So there's almost no incentive to leave.
Nope. None.
So what's crazy about that is then now all of a sudden you get pushed out, right? Because whatever, the company goes through its growth spurts and down spurts. Yeah. And so they got to do what they've got to do, which is part of business. And I think sometimes people, you know, I think you thought about it the right way. You're like, okay, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. Like, but I have to work and I have to come out of this on top. Yeah. So I feel like that's a good life lesson for anybody that might be like, they're on this path and all of a sudden everything's easy, right? Maybe not easy, but you're going to work every day.
Yeah.
You're working with people you love.
Comfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
You're comfortable. You're getting a paycheck. Bills are being paid. But ultimately, you're not really at the destination you wanted. So who knows how long you could have ended up if the layoff didn't happen.
Forever.
Yeah, you'd still be there, right?
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, through an adversity, which I think almost everybody is going to face either at one point in time or multiple times in their life. And I feel like it's an every 5 to 10 year thing. Everyone pulls some types of adversities, and majority of people, when they're hit with that, they just revert backwards, or they revert back to what they're comfortable with. So instead of learning a new skill like you did, or realizing I'm going to have to learn a new skill, they just kind of copy, repeat, rinse, repeat. Like they just, oh, well, I'm in this industry and I work for this coaching company. Let me just go find another coaching company.
I did that. I like immediately, like right away, like reached out to a couple of other coaching companies that I'm familiar with, that I know people at, and like, hey, like what's going on there? And I had a coach that I knew that I worked with in the past tell me like, you can't work for me. Like you have to go do this. I would love to have you, but no.
Yeah.
Like literally like just rejected. Like you're too good for this. Like I can't enable you to do that, which that is love. That is love.
Yeah.
Like, for someone just to be like, I would love to have you because I know you're amazing, but it's not what's best for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think people should realize that no can be an opportunity.
Oh, 100%.
No to something that's easy for you is, like you said, it's actually a blessing in disguise. It's love, you know? And so, okay, so then now you fast forward a little bit, right? Yeah. You got your license. Now we were talking a little bit, I think, before the camera was rolling. You have 5 properties at escrow?
I think there's 4.
Okay.
It's 4. Yeah, I'm not going to jinx myself for what's going to happen tomorrow.
So there's one that's like... We'll find out when this posts.
Yeah.
And then I'll have to update the number.
Well, year to date, I've closed 8 transactions. So I think we're just in September now, and I'm a brand new agent. So I started in January. I signed with the team that I signed with in January. I spoke with multiple local agents and brokers that I already knew because I was working with them before.
Yeah.
To see who was the best fit for me. So like my role at my previous job was actually vetting the team leaders to see if they were a fit for that team program.
That's awesome.
And then I got to sit in on these retreats where the whole focus was recruiting the right agent to your team. Who is that person? What do they look like? How do they act? What is their personal life? Who are they like as a human? Yeah. And like that was my role. So I got to sit in and just like learn how to be the best person possible for the next job. Like over and over and over again. And you would think that would be like a sign from the universe for me to be like, okay, like I know how to be great. Like get out. No, I was so comfortable that like that was never going to happen. So when I went to look for teams, like I was like, I have all these questions for you. Yeah. Like
tables have turned.
I am in this interview process. Like I'm looking, like I had team leaders reach out to me to tell me like, hey, I heard like you might be interested in joining a team. Like, would you like to come and have a conversation with me? Would you like to come and sit in on our team meeting? I would love to talk. Like, so out of nowhere, I have all these like people reaching out and I'm just like sad, and I'm just like, shit. Yeah. No, but the team that I chose actually, I did meet them through the company that I was at before, and I was introduced in a group text, and I also personally worked with this gentleman, and I was so resistant to go and talk with him. I like had a little tiny bit of a grudge against him, and like my perception of him was completely wrong.
Yeah.
Just from like the minimal interactions that we had, so I ended up like. That was my number one choice, like out of everything that I did. So
sometimes it's sometimes it's a sign of respect. There's been plenty of times where like I've been resistant to work with certain people, but I'm like, well, why? You know what I mean? And then I
didn't ask. I didn't ask. I had a coach call me out on it.
Yeah.
I told the coach, I was like, I don't want to work with him. And he was like, well, what's the deal? Like, what's your problem? And I was like, he didn't sign up for coaching with me.
Yeah.
And he was like,
who cares?
That is not, he was like, get over it.
Yeah.
He was like, those are 2 separate things. Like,
Yeah, the business emotion and the professional emotion is so different from that personal kind of, trigger. Like sometimes like our brain and heart tell us one thing but then our gut and senses and everything else tells you another, or experience tells you something else. And it's hard to kind of maybe not necessarily ground yourself in that, but sometimes it's happening for a reason, or maybe you were resistant to it for a period of time for a reason, and then now it's like, look what happened. You know what I mean? So
I just want to fit in. Like that's my thing. Is like I felt like before I fit in, and so fitting in has always been like a huge. I care what other people think. Yeah. Like like that's.
I think most people do.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like an addiction to being addicted to what other people think of you is like the worst thing. And now for my job, I get rejected all day long. Yeah. Like I am literally like all day long. People tell me no.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? It's interesting. But that's how you build. That's why you're becoming so well-rounded and why you have so many things that you've transacted on already year to date and or are in the process of closing. Because just hearing those numbers, to me, that's for a new agent, that actually sounds pretty high.
Oh, it's not easy. Don't be fooled. Like, okay, so there's all these jokes online. You'll see things like, oh, she was a bartender, didn't work, or she was a bottle girl and now she's a realtor. Like, okay, those are funny jokes, but like, okay, like that's fine. Like, really doesn't matter where you came from. It's like, are you going to be able to get the job done? And being a successful realtor is so much more than just being able to sell a house. Like I am not trying to sell houses.
Yeah.
I want to be the most knowledgeable about what's happening in the market so that I can advise my clients on what decision is the best for them, their life, and where they're going. Like that's what I want. Like I care about the person, and I shouldn't take on probably as much emotion as I do, but I had such a good experience when I bought my house. That feeling of like, you're not supposed to have pride, but I like to be able to buy a house. I bought a house with my mom. We bought a house together. It's like from where we came from.
Yeah.
Like I can't even I've only been a homeowner for not even 2 years. And just my life is so much different than it was 2 years before that. And it's okay when you set goals. You're not setting goals like with you're supposed to set them with a timeline, but I don't know, or what is it? Dreams are just right.
I know what you're talking about.
I have no idea what it is.
I know that quote. I know what you're saying. There's like a quote where it's
so much cliche stuff, and I'm just like I roll my eyes and I'm like, yeah, duh. Like
yeah. It's like I don't know. Dreams are not tangible until you have a goal, and goals aren't tangible until you write them down, and so, I don't know, something like that. Yeah. But the thing is like, I mean, right now, and you'll probably be able to speak to this way more than I would, but like I look around. And I talk to people all the time, and that is their number one goal. Their number one goal is, I want to buy a house, especially our generation. I feel like, so I was fortunate enough I bought a house before I did anything. I bought a house when I was 24.
Yeah.
And
I always wanted to be like you.
Well, but here's the thing. To be honest with you, I never thought it was an accomplishment. For whatever reason, I didn't actually think it was an accomplishment.
It's just what you do.
I literally was just like, fortunate in that scenario, and it just so happened to work out that way. And it was right when the housing market crashed and everything. So I was lucky because the housing prices were cut in half, legitimately. Like the house that I bought, the previous owners had bought it they bought it brand new, $500,000. I came in, it was bank owned, $216,000.
Nice.
That was a steal from, but mentally at the time, I wasn't mature enough to understand those concepts. Also, I didn't understand how interest rates worked. So I was also very fortunate to buy with a super low 2%, 2.5 or 2.25 interest rate.
I envy you.
So steal of a deal, right?
Yeah.
Well, now you look around and I talk to people and I feel so fucking bad because, well, first of all the prices are, a good decent house, even in like a certain area. I mean, you're looking in California, $500,000 plus. Or more, right? I mean, $600,000 for like new construction.
Yeah.
And then the interest rate's 6 to 8%, depending on what's going on.
Yeah.
And then and then you think about the amount of income you have to hit that. And I look around, I'm like, there's no fucking way I would have been able to do that. If I was 24 years, if making what I made at 24 with the housing market the way it is today, there's no way I would have been able to buy the house I bought.
Yeah.
No way.
Okay. So as a single person, I'm single. As a single person,
Gentlemen,
I am single. As doesn't mean I want to be, but it is what it is. It works for me now. The thought of what my mortgage payment is now, having to pay that by myself, it's unrealistic.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to be able to save a ton of money before I made this
Transition.
Yeah, this. What is it? Before I took this risk.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as a single person, like it's super difficult for people to be able to like realize that dream of being a homeowner in California. But it always starts with like a conversation with like someone that's gonna know about the interest rates, that's gonna know about what it takes and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's why I bought a house with my mom, because we're both single women and like we wanted to buy a house, so like we just did.
Well, and it just makes sense in general. I mean, like you look around and like, and again, I don't know what your mortgage is, but even if you were to average it out,
we don't want to talk about it.
Well, let's just pretend. Let's just throw out like, let's say someone's mortgage is $4,000, right? Okay. And you look at what it would cost as a single person moving into an apartment, you're talking about $2,500 to $3,000 already.
$3,500.
Yeah. So
depends where you're at.
So I could own the house for $4,000, or I could rent half of the space, something that I don't own, for $3,500.
Yeah, but you know, there's also people that are like, I don't want to own a home.
Yeah.
I don't want to own a home. I don't want to mow the lawn. I don't want to be responsible when things break. So renting makes sense for them.
Yeah.
I can help with that too. But home ownership is like in general, like it's the thing people talk about most. It's
Yeah.
Or I heard, I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Well, in my 20s, I avidly used to tell people, I was like, oh, I'll never buy a house. How stupid is that?
I think I remember hearing you say that.
I 100% said it multiple times and I was wrong.
Yeah.
I 100% said it multiple times. But that was because, again, young, immature, just didn't know. I just wanted it because I wanted to be able to make sure that my kids had somewhere to live.
Okay, but I think also when you were younger, I have to just tell everybody this. I think you always, not always maybe, but a lot of times took the opposite of what other people were doing just to kind of challenge.
For sure.
Just to like spark the conversation.
Yeah.
I kind of knew that about you. I've known like
a debate, like I like to debate people.
Like everybody's like, oh, and I can buy a house, and you're just like, psh,
yeah,
never
who fucking needs to do that?
Fuck that.
Yeah, but I will say now looking back, it was one of the best financial decisions I ever made, because again, I bought it when it was $216,000 and it's worth $640 now.
Yep.
You know, even when I wanted to leverage my equity in it, so I eventually learned how to leverage equity in the house to start businesses or invest in businesses. So I'm like, here's a house that's worth $600, bought it, or almost $700, bought it for $2. There's all this equity. I could lean against that, use that, put it towards business. Once the business is up and running, take it, pay it back. Didn't have to pay.
Yeah.
Didn't have to lose that, and never had to pay the interest on anybody else's stuff. I'm literally borrowing from myself. I made myself my own bank.
Yep.
Most people don't realize that. I didn't know that in my 20s. I know it in my 30s now. You know what I mean? So, okay. For the person who's listening and has made it this far, that I want to kind of go two different directions with it. You pick which one you want to talk about first. But either a person who's looking to get into real estate, because I do feel like I had a friend on here, Ernie. Shout out to Ernie.
I saw that.
Ernie literally was like, he's like, everyone knows a real estate agent, right? So,
maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah. So he literally was like, you know, a lot of people want to get into real estate. Sometimes they want to get into it because they think it's easy money, which clearly it's not.
No.
But I wanted to either talk about what you would recommend to people who are thinking about getting into the business, or what people definitely are always looking to buy, obviously, what they should do to get set up to be able to actually see if they can afford it and or qualify for it. Like, which one do you want to talk about first?
Let's talk about if anybody wants to be a realtor.
Yeah, fuck these people. No,
I mean, you know what? Like, firmly believe that, sharing your knowledge is the best way to, I don't know, weed out the competition. I don't know.
For sure.
But also, I am a firm believer in coaching, sharing knowledge. I work for a fantastic, incredible broker I love and don't have to pay that much. So, I'm happy to have that conversation all day long.
Hopefully you get referrals if you bring in new agents.
I think there's something. But more or less, eventually, I'll be a mentor. I know that. Later on down the road, I enjoy teaching other people if it's, beneficial to it. I get a kick out of it. So it's it's actually selfish that I want to teach someone else.
Yeah.
So if you want to be a realtor, you need to get your license. You can go online and sign up for classes, get your license. That's super easy.
How long are the classes? Or how long would you say it would take?
120 hours is the requirement. I could be wrong. I have no idea. I just did what they told me to do.
So literally you go online. So you just have to listen to the classes, pass the I'm guessing the test.
Yeah, I took the classes that were self-paced. And when it says 120 hours, they give you these giant textbooks, and I believe you're supposed to read them, which I did.
Yeah.
That's how I learned. I read the textbooks. If I was watching the videos, I'm so sorry for this man that created the videos, but that's a good way to put me to sleep. It's just he was a nice guy, but so weird to watch.
Yeah.
It's awkward.
Well, and in today's day and age, it's so weird how people learn in general. Yeah. So it's
I have to read it, and I probably have to write it down. I would say that if you're going to get your license, to make sure that the school that you sign up for has practice tests.
Yeah.
So what I did was there was so many people were trying to get into real estate right after 2020, 2021, where everything was shooting up in prices and values were going up, that there was a waiting period. If you wanted to get your license, you had to pay for it and then wait for them to have an availability to take the test, because there was that long of a wait. So they let you pay for it.
That's a good way for them to also weed out people. It's if I'm not, I don't know if I'm going to pay. I don't want to take it.
Yeah, but it's only $300.
Yeah. Well, some people
but and also at the time, $300 for me was a lot. And I was it is what it is. You save $300 here or $300 on, let's go out to dinner.
It's a lot cheaper than a college education.
Yeah. Well, there's that too. But I still owe some money on that one. On that try. Yeah. I tried. It just wasn't for me. It was a lot of fun, but I don't know how much school I actually did in that short period of time when I went. I went back. I did community college. That's fine. I'm not using any of that stuff either. It was a good way to show me I didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
Worth learning at school.
We're going off into the tangent of schooling, but
Oops.
it is.
So realtors.
But it is but on that point, it is funny because a lot of times I think people younger people, and obviously I have a 19-year-old and I have a 14-year-old, so I've talked about
crazy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, for sure. I've talked about college a lot. And it is funny because I've never been an avid you should go to school.
You tell them that?
I tell them that they should know what they want to do before if they're going to go to school, then they should 100% have a plan. And because otherwise most people just go to school to go to school. Yeah. A lot of people that I talk to have degrees in things they don't use or are at the same job they literally were at in college and are now paying for their college degree through the growth of the business that they would have had regardless.
Yeah.
I just know too many people like that it's hard for me to be a proponent of it. Now, I do know plenty of people who also went to school, got a degree, got their license, are doctors, lawyers, sheriff's officers.
Those are things that you need to
but those people planned it out and they knew what their end goal was.
That makes sense.
When I talk to my kids about it, I've always said, look, if you just want to go to school because you don't know what the fuck you want to do, don't do it. It's better to just brew a little bit, marinate, figure out what you want to do, but don't go off and do schooling and take on a bunch of debt if you don't know the plan from A to Z.
Yeah, no, that's so good. That's perfect. I'm just curious. I don't know. It's so weird to me people that have kids because I'm still raising myself. So if you want to get your license, and then you need to join a team. Join a team that has training, support, that's going to give you value as an agent, because working with all those teams, working with those top team leaders, they actually are trained to recruit people to their team to help them make money as the team leader, but they're not as profitable as teams. Like, you need to join a team that cares about teaching you how to be the best you can be for your clients.
Now, do people pay to be part of a team, or do the teams legitimately just recruit people and you're...
Only if I make something.
Okay.
So if I make if I sell a house, then I owe them something, like a portion of what the house is that I sold, if the lead came from them. So like, we have a database of over 17,000 people. And that is people who have either like signed into an open house or like
Zillow.
The Zillow people. If you're ever wanting to look at a house, do not click on the request.
Contact agent.
Yeah, don't do that. Just call me.
Yeah.
I mean, Zillow's great. I love Zillow. We call Zillow Zaddy.
Zaddy?
Yeah, because Zaddy is the boss. Like, Zaddy is like, you got to pay Zaddy. Like,
okay.
Yeah, so.
They're big then.
Yeah, no, I mean, they've done something incredible. They have all the information of houses that are for sale, and that's fantastic. You can browse it. It is the #1 shopping site for, everyone that's looking for houses. And without Zillow, I would not have a business right now. And typically, like, when someone starts browsing on Zillow, they start, that's their segue to meet an agent.
Yeah. It always, I'm on there all the time. It gives you like that little contact agent now. And then I'm always like, oh God, I can only imagine as soon as you type in the
Sometimes that's me on the other end.
But I can only imagine, does it just go to one person, or does it go put you in that database and it's like, whew, you're sent out to
forever.
Like the cloud of agents?
Everybody's going to call you. No, it goes to the team or the individual that pays for the service to purchase the lead.
Okay.
And just because somebody clicks on something doesn't mean that they're part of that they're actually going to buy something.
Yeah.
So my team absorbs that cost for me.
Got it.
They have a contract with Zillow, so I don't have to pay Zillow on my own, because there's like, if they say that the statistics are like 1 out of every 20 people that you connect with will actually transact.
Wow.
But
that's percentage wise. I mean, that just means it's just like any other sales funnel.
Every one of those leads costs money.
Yeah.
Whether they're going to transact or not. So if you're just messing around online, like contact an agent, dude, you just cost somebody some money.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're looking and you're serious,